Greetings, weary traveler. Come warm yourself by the fire and let us regale you with mighty tales, tales of adventure, tales of heroism, Tales of Tamriel. I am your host, Aggelos, and I am joined by the one, the only Arkhaniir Silvershield himself. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. It's been a good week. I got to give a little shout out to Jessica, the community manager over at The Elder Scrolls Online, because now she knows what a sexplar is and how amazing it really is.
Yes, she does.
Yes,
Not
she
that
does.
how amazing it is, but
No,
that
it's amazing.
filled of complete and utter lies. Because I made sure that she knows that.
She knows that part. Shout out again to the Wandering Bard as well. If you haven't checked it out yet, check out the Twitter or our Discord, because he wrote a song about me and it's pretty darn amazing. So check that out. This week, we've got a lot of fun stuff on the docket. We got a little bit of news to go over, as well as a nice, hearty set of our adventures within Tamriel. And of course, what would be a Tales of Tamriel show without 36 Lessons of Vivec? I don't know. Like, at this point, we've been going for so long with 36 lessons that I have no idea what we would do afterwards. But
You know what we should do? Write our own, 37th lesson of Vivec. Just for the fun of it. After we complete it all.
You know, I was actually thinking about touching what was called Sermon Zero, which isn't in the games anywhere, as one of those Michael Kirkbride things. But I don't know if I'm brave enough to do it. It's pretty weird. But yeah.
Well, I mean, at this point, we are kind of got used to the weird thanks to the... I mean, it's not like the 36 lessons themselves are not weird. How bad can it be?
This is very true. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, so we got that lined up for you guys. So thank you so much for watching us over here at twitch.tv/Dungeon Crawler Network. Or if you're following us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, we much appreciate that. We also appreciate the awesome people over at patreon.com/Dungeon Crawler Network who support us each and every month. And of course, our newest patron sub, Ika Sugami. I just love saying it like that.
Yeah, you do.
I really do. And of course, Snack X Pack for the newest Twitch sub over at twitch.tv/Dungeon Crawler Network. All of that goes towards supporting the network. And here's a Khajiit. Say hello, Khajiit. Hello. I'm holding her up with one arm because she's a Khajiit. I'm just waiting for her to attack me, but she hasn't done it yet. She's
she
trying.
Doesn't care.
She meowed at me like, what was all that about? You know, crazy. So thank you so much for supporting us over there. That does help us keep the metaphorical torches lit so we can continue to do our dungeon delving. Of course, like last week, I did say we were going to read off any iTunes reviews that we get, and we did get a new one this week. From Admin Central, gave us a 5-star review going, "This is hands down the best ESO podcast out there." Short and sweet and to the point, but thank you so much, Admin Central, for that. So we had one new one this week that was much appreciated. I guess that came in on Friday. So thank you so much, Admin Central, for your review. That iTunes reviews, they're awesome because they help people know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words, and sometimes it matters. All right. Let's go ahead and jump right on into the news because there's not a whole lot of that. So Arkhaniir, over at the news desk.
All right, let me open the notes. There we are. So, as Ag said, we only have just a little bit of news. First one is that the Sijic Vault Crown Crate season is upon us, which involves ghosty-looking, shiny mounts this time. So they are basically things that escape the vaults of the Sijic Order, so they are magical beings. And with this, we are getting another set of free crown crates, but that event ends today. However, if you have been logging into the game since June 15 and killed at least one creature, mob, or an NPC, You will get free crown crates, or 3 maximum for each day you logged in and killed something. That ends today, but I hope you logged in to claim your daily rewards and killed something in the process as well. So there's that new crown crate season.
Can I throw some lore out here? Actually, let's do 2 things. First off, I don't think I even got all of it this time. Mostly due to the fact that the one day I logged in, I literally realized, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, the crown crate thing's in, so I should log in and do something. And I looked at it, and then I'm like, oh wait, they started technically yesterday. Crap. So then I'm like, I logged in, and I literally had 1 minute to get in and get a kill before, because it kind of timed over when the new rewards. I'm looking at it going, come on, come on, come on. So I got in, and I think I got the kill, but it may or may not have. I'm not really sure. Anyway, now.
You probably did, I think, because I think it started at June 14.
Well,
so kind of like on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So like Thursday, 8 p.m.
I guess. Was I on Thursday, 8 p.m. though? I feel like I was. I've been on so much recently. It's almost like when the game first came out. I've been playing it so much. It's pretty amazing. I just don't remember. So I might be okay, but I kind of forgot about it. And then I was like, so I have to go and check that out. So, there is that. The idea of the Sigic Vaults, though, that's kind of neat. You actually do find that in Somerset, and the Sigic Vaults are where they lock away all the things that they deem are too powerful for Nirn to have. So if you ever played Skyrim, which I'm sure most of you have, there's that argument of, how do I want to say it? What is that, the giant orb you find in Sarthal?
Eye of Magnus?
The Eye of Magnus? Yeah, afterwards they would have taken that there and brought it into the Sigic Vault. So like when you're doing the one quest in Somerset, they're talking about how all this stuff kind of got loosed and you now have to go and collect it. So these things are I don't even know why they're letting us have them, because apparently they should have been locked away from mortals, but hey, whatever. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, at the moment, Sigic Order is basically just opened their island to thousands of people.
I know, right? That's a little weird, but
that's the thing with MMORPGs. It will happen. Like things like this will have to happen, I guess, at one point.
Yeah, I know. I'm having fun with it at this point. And I am remiss. We didn't say hello to the chat room.
Oh,
Ark.
What? Hey, hello.
You didn't correct me, so you're as responsible.
Yeah, this time I forgot. Usually I am the one that reminds you the chat room. I'm sorry, chat room.
And here's the kitty again.
Just make it up with the kitty. Everyone loves cats.
I'm benching with the kitty. She does not look as amused as I am.
I mean, I wouldn't be amused as well if
she got me.
Was to...
You dirty AD scum. She bit me. Not saying I didn't deserve it, but she bit me.
Yeah, that's to happen.
Right. Okay, you may continue on with the news.
Okay. So you will get your crown crates if you did the event on Wednesday, June 20. So don't be surprised if you don't see your crates on the next few days. They will arrive at June 20. So that was it. That's out of the way.
Gotcha.
There's also the patch notes 4.0.8, which involves a lot of fixes. Well, not a lot of fixes, but a few fixes on some actually progress blocking bugs on Morrowind, Halls of Fabrication, and Cloud Rest trials, which I'm not going to go into detail of. But
I would be curious about the progress on Cloud
Rest?
Cloud Rest, yeah.
Hold on, let me find it real quick then.
I'm just out of curiosity because, in Tales we'll talk about it, but we ran that a good bit last night.
So in Cloud Rest trial, actually, I'm not sure if this is actually progress blocking, but malevolent cores now teleport down to the lower level if they are dropped from the upper platforms.
Huh.
I don't know what
that might be a vet
are.
thing. When you're in the
but I assumed if they don't drop, like I assumed this was something like the AA mage not coming down.
It's sort of. What essentially happens is in the Shadow Realm, when you go into the Shadow Realm, you have DPS in there, or tanks sometimes, depending on what phase of the fight you're on. And you have to break these crystals in order to get these malevolent orbs. There's also these spears that have to come down that the people up top have to send you in order to... What you do is when you break one of these crystals, you get a malevolent orb on you, and then you have to run it over this spear of light that's sent from up top, okay? So up top, the one person who's helping you gives you these spears of light, and the players in the real world have to send them into the Shadow Realm so that the players down there can run these malevolent cores over it and break them. When you break 3 of them, you then get freed from the Shadow Realm. If they don't come down or you don't get cores, you never escape the Shadow Realm. So just more and more ads are pouring out because there's these ads that just keep trying to make their way out. And the idea is to close the realm before they slowly make their way into the into Nirn. Problem is, if you don't have malevolent cores and you don't have the spears of light, you can't stop them. The people down below can't get out, and it becomes an issue.
Yeah, I see. Nice. Yeah. Then it was progress blocking. Well, now since I mentioned it, I'll mention the other 2 as well. In Morrowind, in the A Hireling of House Telvanni quest, fixed an issue that prevented Sun and Shadows from appearing for the final council scene, unblocking the progress within the quest. And nothing to sneeze at quest. Tilrena will now properly appear during the quest step. Talk to Tilrena, allowing the quest to advance normally. So they were the Morrowind quests that were blocked.
Okay.
And in Halls of... No, not Halls of Fabrication, but in Somerset, the icon for Dawnstar Gem now appears properly during the quest, the Tower Sentinels. So those are the main fixes. There are a bunch of other fixes as well that you can go ahead and read them on the forums or probably in the description of the show below.
Yep, it'll be there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So 2 very important fixes, though.
Yeah,
now, the first one was a very controversial topic in the Elder Scrolls Online community for the last couple of weeks, or more than a couple of weeks. They removed the integration of that Red Shell tool that was the data analysis tool and all associated files from the basically client and game files and everywhere, as they said they would.
Yep.
So that is one.
Now, just a note for those who are curious, don't think that it's going to be gone forever, because in all reality, they did say that it may make an appearance. Like, they were playing with it. They probably are going to bring it into the game, so don't be surprised. But there are opt-out options, which we kind of covered in that episode, and we will cover again when it comes back into the game.
Yep. So the last thing is in news, which is, like, I don't know how they did not fix this earlier. Like, this is, I don't know, this makes the game literally unplayable, but change the name of the Welkind Ouroboros Crown Crate to simply Ouroboros Crown Crate and fix the typo. How did this get overlooked for so long? I do not know, but
incompetent
here it is.
devs.
It's fixed. It's fixed. It is now called Ouroboros Crown Crate instead of Welkind Crown Crate. So yeah, that is the end of this news section with this very, very important part of news.
Clearly is definitely the most important part of all of that. So I agree. Okay. Let's go ahead and roll right on into the Tales section. What have we been doing this week in the Elder Scrolls Online? So, Ark, how much do you have a good bit to go over? A little bit?
Well, not
some
good bit, but I have some. Like,
why don't you go ahead and go first?
Yeah. So basically what I've been doing in Elder Scrolls Online is I haven't been doing much gameplay in terms of I have been questing since last show. I haven't done Battlegrounds since last show. What I was doing is crafting. So for the first time in 4 years of my Elder Scrolls Online journey, thousands of hours, I've actually decided to focus on crafting and unlock my crafting skills, research traits, and for the first time today, I finally like just before the show, started researching my very first 2 9 trait items, which is a shield and a sword. And I still have a long way to go before I research everything, but that's what I've been focusing on. Doing the crafting writs for the first time, researching items for the first time, and doing dailies for the first time. So yeah, that's what I've been focusing on. I made some gold as well in the process, like 700.
Did you get that or was it Dorbog's lazy crafting writ add-on?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's pretty much
if I hadn't gotten the lazy crafter, I wouldn't have been doing writs. No
There's
way.
also 2 more you probably want: daily provisioning and daily alchemy, because for whatever reason Dorbog's doesn't actually do those.
Oh, they exist? Yeah.
Get those 2 and it will auto-craft your
I've been doing
alchemy.
them manually. And
Nope.
It's such a... Yeah, okay, I'll get them as well.
Yeah, just go grab.
Nice.
That's pretty much probably the most important thing you're going to do right now, so go do that.
I'll do that as well.
Yeah. So that's
I got a
helpful.
bunch of messages that I'm gonna ignore. So yeah, I've been focusing on those. I made some gold with Somerset for about 500 to 700k. So that's nice. I haven't done that. Like, I haven't earned gold in this game for a long time, and I've been running around very, very poor after decorating the guild house. But finally, I have some gold again thanks to Somerset. What I basically did was just research jewelry, then just craft it and sell, craft it and sell, craft it and sell for other people to research. I did that until the market prices dropped, which is this week basically. But like before it happened, I did get a nice amount of gold, so that is nice. What else? I also did Cloud Rest normal 2 times with Ophelia Noir and her community of Drunkenborns. We ran it 2 times. I love that trial because there are no trash pulls. It's just boss fight, boss fight, boss fight, and boss fight. So that is that. Like, I wish everything was like that. I know Aggelos disagrees with me on this.
I definitely don't, but continue.
Like, I hate trash pools because it's just, they are no challenge. And it just drains time. It just artificially increases the time of a dungeon or a trial. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. We've like, I did a morning stream of Elder Scrolls Online. I was awake at like 6 a.m. for whatever reason, and I decided to stream, and like I decided to just fish. And Ishabu and Dalgrim joined me as well. So we did our first unofficial Silvershield clan fishing event there, completely unofficially, but. Yeah, we fished in Arteum, which is a very, like, that beach is very beautiful. I love it. I want a place like that in real life that I can visit easily whenever I want. Not spend thousands of dollars, but just drive there, you know? So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Okay.
Also,
good.
Kim, hello in chat. Happy birthday, Kim. Just shout out. I see him in chat.
Nice.
He's the greatest healer. He doesn't let me die. He doesn't let my DPS die either, which I really try to
if
do.
he can keep you alive, he clearly must be the best healer in the world.
Oh, that was good. I really assisted that myself, so I'm not.
Here, let me hand you this burn cream because you may need it.
Ooh, yeah, go ahead. It's your turn. I'm gonna just digest this.
Nice. All right.
I even dropped my microphone.
Even drop the mic. Nice. All right. So I know we talked about this a little bit. Have no fear for some of the console players and whatnot, because this week we're not gonna go into a lot of the story of Somerset. Next week, obviously, we're going to say before we do anything, so don't worry. So if you have to skip an episode, you can skip an episode. But I know Ark and I, for those that don't know, it's Father's Day here, which my family's away. My wife, she forgot it was Father's Day. And that's okay, because I did too. She somewhat can't be blamed because 3 years ago, my son was born on Father's Day, which was June 21st back then in 2015. So she kind of assumed it was last week. So she went to go visit her mother, and we both forgot. So that's why we're doing a show. We'll just celebrate Father's Day when he gets back on Wednesday. But because they're not here, I've had so much time to quest and stuff. I'm almost done with Somerset. I know Ark is almost done as well, so we're going to kind of hammer that out next week, and we're going to pretty much touch on each of the main storyline quests in each area and kind of go over some lore. So next week should be a fairly large episode. In all likelihood, it'll probably be the majority. I should have probably removed that from last. Oh, that was Nate's Tales, but they're gone. So he already talked about that. I will say there's one quest, which is probably one of the best quests. It's not like a main storyline quest. It's kind of like a side quest, if you will. It has my spirit animal, okay? The spirit animal is this orc. You meet him in Alinor. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Oh, it's such a beautiful.
There's this hoity-toity little Altmer who insults him, and he's like, I challenge you to a duel. And the elf's like, you obviously don't know the dueling etiquette around here, so I will not just... Anyway, real prissy-like. Anyway. So he asks you to help him. He's like, I just want to fight this guy and put him in his place because he's a dirty knife eater, and he just needs to be, like, beat in the face. I thought this was probably the most holy of quests, so I obviously undertook this with no hesitation. We had to do a couple things. I had to get him a fencing saber. I had to somehow find his entire lineage, because you can only properly duel someone if you can recite their entire name, which apparently is like 9,000 characters. I'm talking Game of Thrones characters don't have titles this long. Anyway, you go through that whole thing, and then he's ready to fight. So the elf's like, fine, let's go, orc. Have at you! And he stands there, and the orc just walks up to him and punches him square in the face, and the elf just falls right over.
Nice. It was such a that is the best thing I've seen on Elder Scrolls Online. It was so satisfactory.
It was. It was just so funny. The guy has the sword. The orc just walks right up and pow! Right in the face. The elf falls over. And you go and talk to his second, who's cowering. He's like, he's such a brute. Don't tell him I said that. Oh, it was probably the best quest in this entire game.
Yeah. And the elf just lies there with his eyes open. He
knocked him out. Like,
he just lies there.
One punch, just out. And I thought that was probably the best thing in this entire game.
I had to actually tweet to one of senior content designers on ZeniMax Online, Beautiful J, amazing guy, by the way. You can contact him on Twitter. He replies to, he's very easy to interact as well. And I was like, whoever made this quest, please tell them that I love them, and I would buy them a sweet roll or something if given the chance. And I actually replied and said he would pass the thing. So I am happy that whoever made this quest will at least know that it is appreciated, because it's such a beautiful. I hope there are more like this.
It is. It's called a Duelist Dilemma, I believe it is. Yep. You get that from Rog Uzog, which is the orc name in Alinor. Okay.
Yeah, he's right around the entrance, he's just standing there.
So you talk to this guy. He's in the northwestern corner. If you don't talk to him right away, you can actually hear a little bit of the exchange going back and forth. And then you have to go talk to the guy second within the inn. You read up a little book about Aldmeri culture, which was probably the most boring read I've ever had, because, of course, it's all about elves. And then it sends you to a delve to go find, his old tomb or whatever, but it's called a Duelist Dilemma in Alinor. So check that out. I mean, it's an absolutely fantastic quest and totally worth it. I was also doing probably the most hated quest line in the game, which I don't know why people hate it so much, because it's just amazing, because you get the Augur of the Obscure. It's the quest line for the Sijiks, where you have to run around and find all that stuff. And people don't really like it, which I'm not really sure why, because every time I hear this guy talk, it's probably the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. I hate the quest itself as well, but Augur of Obscure just makes it tolerable. because
Yeah.
it's such an like.
It's
Ah.
funny. It legitly, whoever voice acted, I know we had that conversation. Someone had mentioned it, who they thought it was, but it is legitly insanely funny voice actor who did an amazing job. So the Augur of the Obscure is amazing, and I know when you finish it, you get it as a memento. Because I know,
Oh, you do?
yes, you do. Because
Oh,
Bree
that is
has
one-
it in
that
her
is-
house, so you go up and talk to it, and just talks to you.
Wait, in her house, you can put it as a.
Yes, a furniture
Oh,
item.
okay. I know. Like, never mind the Somerset story. I'm just going to.
You're
just
gonna
going
do
to
that.
finish that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is something that when you do that, you get it as like a memento, and you can put mementos in your house or a furniture item. She has hers sitting as soon as you walk in the door. It's sitting on like a table, and when you can actually interact with it, and it will talk to you.
Oh, I have to do it.
It
now.
does all of its random quotes.
Definitely.
Like one of them, it was like it was funny because it was mocking the inside of her house, going, I guess it's nice. I mean, you don't have any of these 1,000 angles, or just talking to you in these real obscure patterns. He's like, I would mark the decorating status as adequate. It's just.
Do we ever get to know what it is? Like, does it ever at some point? Because it's very vague. When you ask what it is, it's like you wouldn't comprehend.
Yeah,
you know?
he never really gives you a.
In the lore, like, did you ever heard in Elder Scrolls something like a being like that, like the Augur of Obscure?
Well, not really, but that's mostly due to the fact that, well, the Augur of the Obscure, I mean, quite frankly, the closest thing of an item that I know that talks to you would be the Heart of Lorcan. Now, I'm not saying it's at all part of a divine, but I mean, an item-wise, it's pretty good. Musclehead in chat, which is, we are going to talk about that next week, but he said he did an old quest called Old Wounds that makes you feel like a murder detective. It actually is really good, and I do plan on talking about it, but we're going to give people another week before we really dive into that one. There was one other quest in K-Turn, which I thought was pretty neat. So, like, I have it here on the chat. It's just north of Alinor. You have to help her sneak into a girl named Slurry, who kind of is like this Van Helsing-like character. Sneak into the keep, right? So you go to sneak into the keep, and it's funny. She's like, I just need you to be a distraction. Like, literally, that's all. She's like, just be a distraction. And I'm like, all right, I can do that. And while you're talking to the guard, you see her sneak up behind him, and she goes, and sticks her tongue out at the guard and sneaks back in. That was pretty neat to see. I have that written down because I thought that was something that was really, really cool. All right, so I'm not going to go into any more quest stuff till next week. Whoa! Obi, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub. 3 months in a row. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That definitely does help us out. Yeah, awesome. Now, where was I at? Oh, yes. So many pledges, which isn't really a problem. I even told Ark we actually started a little late on the show, and that was due to the fact that it's amazing. Like, on the North American side, we have a lot of people now who have been playing, and people are always running dungeons and wanting to run dungeons. So I was up to, like, we did trials, which I'll talk about here in a little bit, because we have a trials group now. That will be pushing into vet modes, hard modes, all that fun stuff. But on top of that, we also have been doing a ton of pledges. It was like till 3 a.m, just doing dungeons nonstop. We were trying to get Bree, one of our new members in the guild, a frost staff from Celine's Web. Okay, because it's for a PvP build, so we've been trying to build that, and she pretty much made a joke that she's gonna have to rename her character Charlotte for Charlotte's Web, because she's run this place like probably 40 times and still hasn't seen the frost staff.
Did you get it in one try?
No. If I would have gotten it, I would have given it to her because I would have just felt awful otherwise. But no, we didn't do anything like that. We kept trying, but unfortunately, no luck, right? So, what are you gonna do? We ran that a lot. Like a bunch of us in the guild kept running that for her at night. So we've been doing a lot of that. We've been doing pledges almost every day because a lot of people are farming keys now, especially because we have so many new members, which is kind of a benefit because I need so many freaking stones now, the transmute stones. It's kind of insane how many I need. In-cap spammer, hello. So we'll get into that a little bit later as well. But yeah, so many dungeons. Still very, very cool. It's been really fun doing that. So we've been running pledges, or not pledges, but trials every Saturday night, 10:30. We actually are forming a static team to do this. So that's what we've been doing. We actually almost have the full team, and last night we had an amazing run in Cloud Rest. We did normal Cloud Rest 2 times or whatever. That is such a fun fight. Like all of it.
Did you do like one boss at a time, or did you try the?
No, we did
like all 3 at once.
One boss at a time.
No.
Just because we wanted people more chances at gear. You get better gear if you do like I've done +3 already, normal, which is just insanity, mind you. But even on normal, it's like what in creation is going on? I actually joined it by accident. Because I saw someone in chat looking for like one more DPS +3 normal Cloud Rest. I honestly didn't know what the +3 was. I just said, yeah, I'll go. And then I got in and they're at the boss. I'm like, oh, they must have already done all the other ones. All right, whatever. I'm only, whatever. Free loot, I guess. And then during the fight, I'm sitting there going, oh, that's a problem. I just realized I made a mistake. I forgot I put my role as tank for last night when we were doing normal. I tried to do another Cradle of Shadows, but I put it as tank just so we could queue in real fast because we were just doing normal. I didn't really need anything else. So I queued myself up for a what is the other one's all the way over there. For a a vet Cradle of Shadows because I need a Velendrith heavy helm. And yeah, I may have forgot it was tank, and I got a queue. I'm like, wow, that was really quick. I'm normally sitting for hours, and it's like, oh, that's right. Queued as tank, so I had to cancel that. My problem.
Right, at least you canceled it. Some people just don't mention it and try to run.
I'm not on vet.
But I've seen it happen. I've seen people try that. Yeah. Obviously, it doesn't go well, and then you have to try and kick people, and it's a bunch of mess.
Yeah. The biggest noob in the world just entered chat. Sean own you. So,
hey, Sean.
He barely knows how to play. I mean, obviously he doesn't know how to play because he plays on console. So right there shows his ineptitude. So,
preach it, Sean. X-Play is the worst build ever made.
See, he's obviously wrong. Obviously wrong. And he's really not making a point for coming back on the show, too. So, guess he's not coming on the show anymore. Sean own you right there. Sealed his fate. Anyway, we did a bunch of those trials last night, and we actually did. I got all 5 pieces of Reliquin finally. I'll tell you what. Reliquin, which is the stamina set out of there. And
from Cloud Rest.
Yeah. So it adds weapon crit. The 3-set bonus gives you minor slayer, so you do 5% more damage to dungeon and trial bosses. 4-set is weapon crit, and the 5-set is your light and heavy attacks apply a stack of harmful winds to your target for 5 seconds. Harmful winds deal 369 physical damage per stack every 1 second. Stacks 20 times.
Okay.
That's like 4,000 damage a second if you get all 20 stacks. well, it's probably a little
It's not-
more, but mitigation kind of removes some of that. So, you got to do the math there. But yeah, I was playing around with it the other night. I just was like, I put on my bow and I just auto attacked. I just want to see how high I could stack it. It was pretty insane how much damage was ticking off of this thing. So I've been playing that. That's also part of the reason why I now need to run more dungeons, because I used all my stones in order to improve the gear to divines, because I was just taking any piece. I didn't care what it was. I'm like, I don't care. I just need this set, and I'll use transmute stones. And
PvP is a good way to get transmute stones. Like every now and then, I don't know what triggers it, but every now and then I get a transmute GOD with like 20 to 50 crystals in it. I don't know what triggers it, but...
Gotcha. Thanks for the host, Frankenstein Gaming. Much appreciated.
Oh, hello.
Sean says, does that also get buffed with major brutality? I honestly don't think it does, because it does physical damage, so the damage scales off of your stamina, but not weapon damage per se, because it's just a flat damage. So I don't think it actually scales off of major brute if you have that running or not. But it does scale off your max stamina because it is physical. So,
yeah, I have no input on this.
Yeah,
I have zero clue on DPS stuff.
It's neat in that, I guess in this case, it really does, like, it really makes your time on target, because I know one of the things is your back bar now. You have to move so many stuff off your back bar, because you can only be on that bar for up to like 5 seconds or something like that to do debuffs, because you need to be back doing physical damage. I guess for me it really doesn't matter, because mine's a bow, so I guess I could do light attacks from a bow as well, but ideally you want to be wherever the most damage is. So there's that thing. But no, it's pretty nice. I've noticed my DPS go up quite a bit, much to, I'm sure, the Wandering Bard's chagrin, because I was linking my DPS meter in Guild, and I guess.
What did you do?
Single target on one boss is like 48,000.
What?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is actually geo level. Our one of our main DPS is on EU, which does like crazy DPS.
No,
So-
this was a very easy boss fight. It was pretty much a tank and spanker. So my time on target was pretty much 100%. So
Yeah, but still, I mean,
yeah, that's all
48K,
cases. That's pretty awesome at that point. But I know I was doing fairly good on that, but I know he's been working on his build, trying to figure out exactly how to get his numbers up, because I guess originally, before we made some changes to his build, he wasn't pulling much more than like 7K. So he when I linked that, he's like, dear heaven above, he's like, teach me your ways. I'm like, Sexplar. Sexplar. That's all it is. But
by the way, do you know which bait I should use in ocean water?
there's an add-on called Volton's Fisherman.
I don't have it on right now. I'm just gonna fish for the rest of the show.
I'm trying to think. Is it minnows work? And I think not grubs. Worms.
Crawlers.
Worms work.
Worms.
Yep.
Worms. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I don't have them. I have chubs. I think chubs work too. Whatever. Okay. Just
maybe.
worms. Yeah.
Maybe.
Sean and Ishabu says worms. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Give that a shot. See what happens. So yeah, no, that was a really awesome set. I've been having fun with that. Now I gotta find people who are running Hellraw Citadel, because I need Berserking Warrior stuff. So yeah, that I need to try to get my hands on to complete this build. And of course, running 9,000 different things to get transmute stones, because I was able to put 2 things to divine, but I still got to get divines, my belt and my chest, who are reforced and well fitted respectively. And then, of course, if I ever get a Velendrith heavy helm, good luck with that. Because I can never get into the darn dungeon, and every time I get into the dungeon, no one knows how to play the stupid game, it seems like. So that's a bigger issue, I guess. So I need to work on that.
Well, that's because you keep running dungeons with pugs, Ag.
Well, yeah, no, I agree. But all the people who... I feel bad because we have quite a few people in the guild who are like, I'll help. The problem is they're sub 300 CP, so they can't even queue into the dungeon.
Wait, what?
The DLC dungeons require you to have 300 CP to queue.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, you didn't know that.
Nope. Any of them that are released as DLC need 300 CP or else you can't get in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. I mean...
I can see how that's the problem.
Yeah, it is an issue overall. Not really much they can do. I actually didn't think about this, but apparently you can get in regardless. I was told that you could just walk into the dungeon. I thought it was going to kick them out, so I didn't even try that. But you don't have to go in through the queue system. You could just walk in and take anybody. I just didn't think to try it. So maybe next time that won't be such a problem. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. But it's also... Crypt of Shadows isn't necessarily a hard dungeon, per se. I shouldn't say that. It's harder than some, but most people don't want to run it unless it's the pledge. So if it's not a pledge for that day, most people aren't running that darn thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're just like, nah.
Yeah.
No, not going to happen. So,
you can find a dedicated team, I suppose.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Is Wings of Fate the only guild you're in?
Yes.
Why?
Why would I want to spread my time with anyone else?
What time? What is there to spread?
Because I run a big community, and I'd rather play with my community members than add to someone else's.
Well, if your community members can't run a dungeon with you,
they'll
then
get there.
You can...
They'll get there.
Well, until they get there, you can find some other people to run dungeons with.
Nah, they're scrubs. They're nothing more than, if they're not part of our guild, they're not someone I want to run with. That's how it goes.
Suffer with pugs then, Ag.
Oh, that's what I am doing. Yeah, no. My guild first and foremost. That's all I'm saying, The other guilds I'm a part of are trade guilds. There's a possibility I could probably pug out of those. They're not necessarily... As I was telling other people... Most of the time, people in trade guilds don't talk, period, because that's not what they're there for. They're there to sell. That's about it. They don't really care about anything else. Every once in a while, you can see people trying to recruit for stuff in there. It's a crapshoot at best. You might find someone. You might not. I guess whatever it is you're after. But yeah, I've been trying to run that a lot. It's just sitting in the... Is my dungeon queue gone? Like, I thought I was in a dungeon queue, but I think it's... No, I'm still queued. It's just, for whatever reason, is not showing up on my list. That's kind of weird. All right, whatever. But yeah, no, that's what I've been working on. I mean, if this so-called really good tank still played on North America, I'd probably get really good queues and probably would get what I need. But,
Well, I mean, if you somehow manage to bring North American time to 7 hours ahead, I can still play North American side.
Buddy, I've been off all day. I've been on since, especially this week. You could have played with me all day. I was on at like 6 a.m.
Did you message me?
And
hey, I'm off all week. We can play together at your time. No, how was I supposed to know?
You should have just known, Ark.
That's what a tank does.
You should have just known. But yeah, no, that's kind of that whole shiznits, because we've been having fun with that, but I don't know. It's just a lot of it's also just dealing with that dungeon, because obviously last week I don't know what it is about that dungeon. Maybe it's only because I want something from the dungeon. I don't know. But I feel like I get the dumbest players in this entire game. Like, normally players are fairly good, right? Like, I swear, it's like if you're a stupid player, you have to queue for it. And obviously, I must be stupid because I keep queuing for this stupid thing. And it's such a pain in the butt because they're so bad. They're just so bad, and I don't understand how they can be so bad. But every time I do this dungeon, I just get horrible players. Thankfully, Obi, shout out to him. He was running a bunch of dungeons with us last night, and he even said today that he'd probably run some with me later on today and try to help me out and get the thing I'm missing, right, the helm. So I might actually have a good player to run with instead of having to deal with the crap that is the players I've had to deal with recently. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Maybe your RNG is finally running out.
Yeah, well, at least for that, right? Yeah. Just for that, at least. All right. Anyway, fun times ahead. Let's see here. What else do I have on the docket? I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I have a lot more I want to say, but I want to wait till next week for Tales because I don't really want to go into the lore of all this.
Good idea.
Yeah, because I don't... how long has it been since consoles have been out?
About 10 days.
10 days? Yeah, all right. I'll wait
Next
a little
week
bit.
it'll be like 3-4. It will be like a month-ish. So yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll mess with it next week. I'm not gonna mess with it right now. Next week we'll go over all the Tales stuff. So of what we've been doing in game. I don't wanna really make anyone go, man, that really sucks that I've just been spoiled. I don't know. Yeah, we'll talk about that at that point. But yeah, should be a lot of fun. I hope. So next week, if you have not finished the main storyline, we will be kind of hammering through a lot of that. And as such, if you are worried about spoilers, listen in next week, and before we start Tales, we'll obviously give you a heads up, but there will probably be spoilers next week. So keep that in mind, that if you have not finished the main story of Somerset, next week may be a show that you could skip or save till later. Never skip our shows, just hold on to it. Listen to it later when you've finished. Definitely going to be something that's going to be fun there. All right, Ark. I think we've hit the point now where we're at 36 lessons, aren't we?
Yep.
All right. And I just finished the Seal the Breaches of Iliac Bay. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, that's the one I haven't started yet.
Yeah.
The Iliac Bay one.
Yeah. It's pretty fun, actually, overall. All right. 36 Lessons of Vivec. We are on Sermon 28 and 29 this week. So for Sermon 28, I do encourage everyone to take a look at... I'm actually going to post this in chat. Of course, I encourage you to check this out in the description of the show. If you're listening to this on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, it'll be down in the description or off our website over at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. You can check that out. This is actually some of the artwork of, help me out, Michael Kirkbride, actually. So this is his rendition of Vivec fighting the Ruddy Man, which was one of his spawn with Molag Bal. So, 36 Lessons of Vivec, Sermon 28. Then Vivec left Set to look after the dome-headed demon and went back to the space that was not space. From the provisional house, he looked into the middle world to find the fifth monster called the Ruddy Man. When the Drew ruled the world, the Daedroth prince Molag Bal had been their chief. He took a different shape then, spiny and armored and made for the sea. Vivec, in giving birth to the many spawn of his marriage, had dropped an old image of Molag Bal into the world, a dead carapace of memory. It would not have been a monster if a Velothi child had not wanted to impress his village by wearing it. The Ruddy Man, of the 8 monsters, was the least complicated. He made those who wore him into mighty killers and nothing more. He existed in the physical. Only geography makes him special. When Vivec found him near the boy's village, Anonganis, there was a violent crash of arms and upheaval of the earth. Their battle created the West Gash. Wanderers that still go there hear still the sounds of it. Swords across the crust, the grunt of a god, the snapping of his monster child's splintered legs. After his victory, Vivec took the shell of the Ruddy Man to the Drew that had modified his mother. The queen of the Drew, whose name was not easy to spell, was in a period of self-incubation. Her wardens took the gift from Vivec and promised to guard it from the surface world. This is the first account of the Drew being liars. In 10 years, the Ruddy Man appeared again, this time near Tear, worn by a wayward shaman who followed the House of Troubles. Instead of guarding it, the Drew had imbued the living armor with mythic inflexibility. It bolted soon after, skill draping the shaman, and shredded his bones to the 5 corners. When Vivec met the monster in battle again, he saw the remains of the 3 villages dripping from his feet. He took on his giant form and slew the Ruddy Man by way of the symbiotic college. Since he no longer trusted the Altmer of the sea. Seems about right. Yeah. He doesn't trust the Altmer. Yeah.
Any Altmer.
Any Altmer.
Your land.
Vivec gave the carapace of the monster to the devout and loyal mystics of the Number Room. He told them, "You may make of the Ruddy Man a philosopher's armor." The mystics began by wrapping one of their sagas into the shells, a series of flourishes by the 2 supranumerates, one hormonally tall and the other just under his arms. They ran around the carapace and through each other, applying holy resin drawn from the carcasses of the now useless numbers between 12 and 13. Golden straws were quickly struck through the mythic epidermal so that the sage could breathe. After the ceremonial etchings were drawn into hardening resin, long list of dead names and equations whose solutions were to be found in the mouth of the chimer inside, there came the illuminations inscribed by the bright, terrible fingernail of Vivec. From the nail's tip flowed a searing liquid, filling the grooves of the ceremonial etchings. They bled out to form vein patterns about the sage shell that theologians would decipher forever after. The ending of the words is Am Sylvie. So.
Yeah, I didn't follow it again.
That's okay. It's all over the place. The Ruddy Man. This is the 5th monster of the 8 that was spawned from the union of Molag Bal and Vivec. So, going to our buddy James Moore, he wrote up a few things for us as well, which I'm going to recite here. He pulls out, when the Drew ruled the world, the Daedroth prince Molag Bal had been their chief. He took a different shape then, spiny and armored and made from the sea. He points out this could be potentially a reference to a previous Culpa. If so, it indicates that the Et Ada can change the roles between Culpas, as Bal was, in this account, much more connected to the world than you'd ever expect for a Daedra. So, at this point, it almost feels like he was able to break that barrier of and enter in. I know at this point, I'm going to mention this as well, that Molag Bal, it was often kind of, I don't know if it was erroneously said, but Bal believed like Mundus was his realm. That's why like he keeps trying to pull it in, especially around the interregnum, that he believes that Nirn Mundus is his.
Right. Wait, what was Interregnum?
That's where we're in now. The Interregnum is a time period in the Elder Scrolls lore between the fall of the Raymond dynasty and the assassination of the
Oh,
Teshi
right. Right.
potentates and the ascension of Tiber Septim.
All right.
So there was this period of time, roughly about 300 years, I think, where after the fall of the Raymond dynasty, the Akaviri potentates were ruling. That the Raymond dynasty was still going at that point, but once they were assassinated by the Morag Tong, that issued in this area called the Interregnum, which is where we're in now, where there wasn't really recorded history because emperors rose and fall. It was just kind of this mess time, which is actually, from a lore perspective, kind of fits that the players are able to be emperor.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of makes anyone who became an emperor both canon and not, because
Yeah.
well, during this period there was a lot of infighting, a lot of emperors, but no dynasties were actually created. So there you go. It would not have been a monster if a Velothi child had not wanted to impress his village by wearing it. So that line, oh, I got to blow my nose here. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Allergies suck. Anyway,
They do.
what else can we think of where something else's skin is worn? Boa, Ethia, and Malakath, in my reckoning. Wearing the skin of something transforms the thing. If Trinomac Malakath is anything to go by. Also, we have the idea of dredging up old memories here. Possibly. So, an idea of the monster and a Velothi child. So, when whoever wore it became the monster itself, changes what they are. His existence in the physical, only geography makes him special. As James says, I'm not really sure what to make of this, but I'm sure something should be. All I can think of right now is that's an echo of notion of happenstance. An accident of geography gave this thing significance, which Vivec, of course, needs to obliterate. Remember the coincidence guild in Sermon 4, if there is to be a perfect world, or if he is to create a perfect world. So his existence is in the physical. The thing that I thought about this as well is with it, all these other monsters specifically had some realm or some weird trick that they were able to do in order to escape. And it was almost more of this metaphysical kind of aspect of the world. Whereas this thing was, and there actually is a quest about the Ruddy Man in Morrowind.
There is?
Yes, there is.
No.
Yeah, there is a quest about the Ruddy Man in Morrowind. But in reality, I almost feel like this could have been an analogy, right, for maybe something in the world that he had to put down. In my mind, and I'm just throwing this out here, like the dissident priest, if he had to subdue a rebellion, he may have kind of crafted this idea of the Ruddy Man to, you know, kind of like a parable type story. James goes, if we go a bit deeper, what is Vivec is suppressing his memory, destroying or reshaping the past is what lots of political movements do, from the Nazis to modern jihadists. I personally think that this is what he is doing in killing his children in several ways. Slight tangent here, but, you know, here it is. Remember the anticipation in the House of Troubles, number 7. Vivec kills 9 of his and Baal's children. That makes 16 in total. What else do we know of in the Elder Scrolls that comes in a group of 16? The Daedric Princes. One reading that I take from these monster hunts is that Vivec is shaping killing the memories of other Daedric princes that may have been worshipped by the Velothi before. But as I can't map all 9 monsters to distinct princes here, this may all be rubbish. That's actually a really good theory. That is a really good theory.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just trying to... With Vivec, there's even a specific quest when you're talking to Sothasil at the end of Clockwork City, he specifically talks about the idea of the lies of the tribunal and how Vivec, unlike everyone else, Vivec actually believes his own lies.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I mean,
even Sothasil's like, yeah, he kind of does this he has to do this in order to maintain that level of divinity.
I know Vivec. Overall, I can't keep up with 36 Lessons of Vivec or Vivec himself. To me, he's just a levitating lamp.
Vivec really is one of my favorite characters, and it's specifically because of the 36 Lessons that I find it so very interesting, because he's this very great esoteric character who tries to hide what he is through analogy and through verse. That's why they call him the warrior poet. He lies constantly. He tries to elaborate through these almost insane parables or analogies. Look at the idea of the dome-shaped monster referring to the creation of Vivec City, and yet when we see the Vivec City in the Elder Scrolls Online, Dunmer are building it out of brick, not some monster. It's like, you obviously look at that as an analogy, not necessarily cold hard facts, right? That's how I kind of see that. The battle created the West Gash, and so Vivec starts to claim the role of shaping Morrowind very literally. He took on a giant form that slew the Ruddy Man by way of the Symbiotic College. Remember that the sword is equated with the Symbiotic College in Sermon 23. Also, the picture that I linked in Twitch chat. Also, a symbiotic college, a bunch of different things stuck together to make a whole while being symbolic. This feels a bit like society to me, where we take a load of symbols and stick them together to make our current society. Maybe that connection to society is why the link to the 3 villages the monster had killed is mentioned here, or maybe I'm just overcomplicating things. And this is all from James Moore. So when I'm reading this is his aspects, and then I'll kind of throw in my own bits here. Yeah. That's why I'm reading it exactly as he wrote it, so we can get what he is saying. You may make the Ruddy Man a philosopher's armor. I think this whole next passage is the construction of that armor, and what does a philosopher need armor to protect them from? Other philosophers and their arguments. That's why we have the armor being lined with equations and the like, which are arguments in another more precise form. Same for the dead names that are part of the armor, the idea of standing on the shoulders of giants, the quote from Isaac Newton, or be surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, quote from the Hebrews. The holy resin drawn from the carcasses of the now useless numbers between 12 and 13. Fast forward to Sermon 29 for a second here, which we're going to talk about in a bit. 12 is the heavens and 13 is the serpent. If the serpent is Lorcan, the god of the world, the heavens are a thing. What stands between the two? The Aedra, who are carcasses in a way, so that the resin draws from the power of the Aedra in my reading of this. That's interesting that they refer to them as carcasses, because you see them as the 9 planets. You could argue that the 9 planets, the spheres of the Daedra, are the Aedra themselves. Are they also like the spheres of Joan and Jode, who are said to be the carcasses of Lorcan? So if the moon, Joan and Jode, is the broken carcass of Lorcan, does that also mean that the Aedra are dead in creating the mortal realm? Because they are now represented as planets as well. Is that their bodies?
Well, I mean, you actually, in all of Elder Scrolls, you actually get in contact and see and fight the Daedric Princess. But you only pray to Aedra. Did we ever actually hear, talk or see an Aedra like we did with Daedra? Like, have we ever heard the voice of Akatosh?
Only in their avatars. Remember at the end of Oblivion, for the 10 seconds that I actually played Oblivion, because that's all I could stomach of that game. Remember Martin Septim actually becoming an avatar of Akatosh.
Yeah, but he basically uses the
Amulet of Kings. Yeah.
So it could not be related to Akatosh at all.
It could also mean they're dead, because that could have just been stored power that he had then used.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if that were the case, then what was keeping the Daedra from entering the world for so long while the Amulet of Kings was around? If that's the case, are the Daedra so powerful that even being dead, they were able to keep them out?
I mean, if they actually died while creating Mundus, in that sacrifice, I will say, that they could have implemented a barrier or a magic while creating it in the meantime, which is basically what Dragonfires mean, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, as long as the Dragonfires are lit, the Nirn is protected from the realms of Oblivion.
Right. And I mean,
so
if you think about it, with the Aedra being that mixture of Inuit and Patamaic blood, they have a different subset of powers, I guess, than everyone else.
Also, you mentioned, like, there are 9 planets for 9 divines, right?
Well, 8, and then the 9 divines would technically have been Joan and Jode if you counted the moons.
Yeah, but what I want to say is Talos. Like, do we have a planet for Talos? If so, does that planet exist before?
I don't think. Actually, in reality, if you remember, the idea is that Talos and his apotheosis became
divine.
Divine, but he took the place. He mantled Lorcan, the missing god.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Right.
So his apotheosis, and if you really dig into the idea of his apotheosis, the idea of Talos, this idea of an oversoul, it's not just Tiber Septim. They actually are more or less saying that the idea of Talos as one person isn't really true. It's actually an amalgamation of several souls. Tiber Septim, I almost want to say Pelinel. I may be wrong on that one. One of the Shezarines. Wolfhearth, which is also talked about as a Shezarine. And Voronoctes as well. Like, there's like 5 or 6 souls that go into the making of what we know as Talos. So, fun times.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's so much lore.
I know. This is one of my favorite games because of lore. It really is. Final bit of this. The golden straws were quickly struck through mythical epidermal so the sage could breathe. This sounds a lot like molds for resin or plaster of Paris. We're sticking straws to the material so that the model underneath could breathe is a generally good idea. Nothing fancy here. If you really want to get metaphysical about it, you could also looking at it the way that I'm going to pull it in here because of how we know Vivec is a liar. Think of those holes as loopholes to the theory. We talked about you're guarding yourself against what? You're guarding yourself against other mystics' doctrine, right? Well, maybe you're defending an undefendable point, right? Think about it like that. Whatever you're doing isn't necessarily true, but you are defending it as if it is. So these holes could be like little loopholes that only you know about to allow you to still see the truth while defending a false teaching. That's how I always look at it when I come to Vivec, because we know he is a liar. So
Yeah. Probably he knows he's a liar.
Oh, he does. Oh, absolutely he does. And one of my favorite quotes actually is poets use lies to tell the truth. And you actually see this, again, going into, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about Sermon Zero, but I'm going to kind of do this right now. If you read it, it's almost like a code breaking. If you read, especially I think with the series of the numbers as well, they talk about it refers to a specific line and a specific word in that line. When you add them all together, it actually says foul murder from all the lessons. So when you read that, it kind of leads into the point what do the dissonant priests believe? That the tribunal killed the Nerevarine.
Yeah.
Or not the Nerevarine, but they killed Indorel Nerevar, the king of the Dunmer. Mm-hmm. Now they say he died in battle with the Dwemer. Right?
Yep.
But we also know, if you kind of break the fourth wall a little bit, I mean, in time of the Elder Scrolls Online, you could say your character doesn't know this, but if you've played, Morrowind, specifically the Mournhold expansion, you know that they start losing their divinity, and that even Almalexia ends up killing Sotha Sil because she goes insane after losing her divinity. Around that time, we see that Vivec just disappears, and the magic that was holding Bardal up from the sky fails, and it crashes down and destroys everything. It destroys almost all of Morrowind, because when it hits the ground, the Red Mountain finally explodes and destroys almost all the island. And what it doesn't destroy, the Argonians do. Because they come back and kill all the Dunmer who tried to remain for all the years of slavery. So what's left of Morrowind is pretty much nothing in the Fourth Era. There's like nothing left of Morrowind. And what is left is a bubbling cauldron of poisonous gases and boiling water. So nothing can survive there. And so I love Elder Scrolls lore so very much. I really do. All right, we got to move on to our next lesson. I know we have another one to go. This is Sermon 29. Now, I'm really not even going to read this one, because it is a list of 36 numbers.
Okay.
And names. Specifically, number 1, the dragon break our tower and is assigned a number of 1. 2, the Echamorph, assigned a number of 68. The invisible gate Sylvie, assigned the number 112. The corners of the House of Troubles, assigned the number 242. The corners of the world, assigned 100, and so on, including, I'm not going to say the numbers, but we have the Walking Way, the Sword at the Center, the Wheel are the 8 Givers. This is fun. This is some really metaphysical stuff coming in here, so I'm really excited. Yeah. The Missing, the Tribes of the Altmer, the Numbers of the Master, the Heavens, the Serpent, the King's Cough, the Redeeming Force, the Acceptable Blasphemies, the Hurling Dis, the Eggs are the 6 times the Wise, the Provisional House, the Lunar Lattice, the Womb, Unknown, the Hollow Prophet, the Star Wound, the Emperor, the Rogue Plane, the Secret Fire, the Drowned Lamp, the Captive Sage, the Scarab, the Listening Frame, the False Call, the Anticipations, the Lawless Grammar, the Poisoned Shirt, the Hours. The presence of the Deaf Witness. This is what the numbers are. They hang into the Arbus as the last nostalgia of their godhood. The effigies of numbers are their current applications. This is folly as above. To be affixed to a symbol is too certain. The ending of the words is Sylvie. Now, I'm not, like I said, I didn't touch the numbers, but we're going to kind of jump into that. So Sermon 29. All right. So this opened up a lot of things for the whole 36 lessons. So James says he'll go through as many as he can. The Dragon Break of the tower equals I is number 1. Remember, we talked about this in one of the lessons. Turn the tower on its side and you see I. The only letter of, the only word for God, I. The Ectomorph. The Ectomorph is a repeating pattern of the Erebus. This is why the Sermon 2, we have a Vec able to predict future catastrophes known and knowing what has gone before. He understands the nature of the Erebus. The repeating pattern is the Ectomorph. For those who don't know what an Ectomorph is, it is an idea of something being the same but the complete opposite. An idea of an Ectomorph is your left and right hand. They're the same, but they're reverse. You often see the idea of the Ectomorph in a common motif of the king and the rebel, right? You have two leaders on opposite sides of a story. You see this with Talos, actually. Talos almost represents both ends of the Ectomorph, because as he's Halti Earlybeard, he's referred to as the rebel, and yet becomes the king later on with becoming the Emperor of Tamriel. You see the Ectomorph of Anu and Padme, the light and the dark, both representing two aspects of the same idea. The Invisible Gate is, in my mind, the iteration of the Ectomorph, which generally involves an observer as well as a rebel and a king, and Amsavi is the Trinity. The Corners of the World, this is in some ways that the world is reflected in the sentient races who have 5 points of reference, their limbs and their head. The corners of the world, the limit of the world in the mortal races is mortality. The walking ways, the formulas to heaven by violence, of which we hear several times in the 36 lessons, mostly in Chim, or Kim, Chim, but in other ways as well. We know from elsewhere that Michael Kirkbright intended there to be the fourth walking way, the steps of the dead, aka mantling, by which Talos becomes a god. You almost look at it, you could also refer to the steps of the dead almost as an incomplete form of the tribunal. Like they kind of went part of the way, but sharing the divinity between the three of them, they never really mantled Lorkhan completely. The wheel and the 8 givers. The structure of the Erebus is a wheel. The 8 Daedra, or the 8 givers, the Aedra, the spokes. And what happens between the areas of the 8 spokes? We have 16, which represents the Daedric princedoms. So pretty much the wheel is what Erebus is, what Mundus is. You have the stoke, the tower in the center, which again, if you refer to the tower in the center, we're getting into some tower lore now, which really excites me. Yeah. Turn the wheel on its side and you see the name, the only name of God, I, which is the tower. Often referred to the center of Tamriel, white gold tower. We're going to get into that. That's always fun. The idea of a wheel having 8 spokes as the Aedra and the 16 spaces in between represent the 16 Daedric princedoms, which make up all of the Elder Scrolls universe. The missing, the 9th giver, the missing who is Lorkhan, Shezar, etc., however you want to call him. The tribes of the Altmer. Do we know anywhere else that there were 10 tribes of Altmer? Or should this be Aldmer to align somewhat with the number of Marish races? Or maybe, though, Altmer, Chimer, Aliad, Jareni, Orsimer, Maomer, Dwemer, Fulmer, Bosmer, and Khajiit? Not sure if it fits, but it may mean something. So let's see. We have the Altmer. We have the Chimer, who are now the Dunmer. The Aliads. I don't know if I'd really count the Jareni as a separate race, though, because I believe the Jareni were just a subset of the Aliads. Orsimer, the Maomer, the Dwemer, the Falmer, and the Bosmer. Got 8. 8. So the 10 tribes of the Altmer.
Altmer itself.
Huh?
Did you count the Altmer themselves?
Yes. We have 8. You could argue the Bretons, the Manmere.
Yeah, I was about to say Bretons, yeah. Being half elf, whatever.
But I don't know about a 10th race of... It's interesting that they refer to that, unless they're referring to the Aldmer themselves as this like oversoul, if you will. That one's kind of interesting, but I almost would count if you count the Jareni and then also the Bretons, then you would have 10 races. I don't know if I'd count Dreni because I really still feel like they were just a subset. The number of the master. A master keeps 1 and 1 in balanced duality. The master, 2 things you must stand between 1 and 1, which has I cannot speak today. Implications for the observer of an etramorph. And Vivec's role in the Elder Scrolls 3 as the observer between the Hortator and the Sharmot. And he is the master of the symbolic roles of the Tribunal. The heavens, the 12 worlds mentioned in the Nuiad. Could be. Could also refer to the Arubis itself, or not the Arubis, Aetherius itself, the realm outside of Oblivion between the Void. Because you have the Void, you have Aetherius, and then you have the realms of Oblivion split, popped within that, and then the realm of Mundus itself. From within there, you also have the realms of the Aedra. So if you think about it in terms of the heavens, the 12 worlds, you have Mundus, the 8, so that's 9. Oblivion is 10. 11 is Aetherius, and 12 is the Void. There's your 12 worlds. The Serpent, 16. Serpent is the 13th constellation, also tied to Lorcan. The acceptable blasphemies, 12 through 16 acceptable blasphemies are the Daedric princes according to the Pocket Guide of the Empire 1st edition. The hurling disc. A disc is a wheel without spokes. The hurling disc is the state of Arbus during a dragon break, linked with the Murakati selective and the right reaching, which they use to break the dragon and separate Alkosh from his Murish aspects. Thank goodness for that. The egg are the 6 times the wise. 3 times 6, the wise are the tribunal. Don't know about the egg. The egg, I almost feel like you're tying that into Lorcan once again. You cannot escape, as much as people want to escape Lorcan, you cannot escape Lorcan. He is so integral to the world as a whole. You cannot remove him. You could also look at the egg as being Vivec himself, because he refers to himself as the egg.
He refers to himself as everything, though.
He really does. The lunar lattice. As James says, I don't know for sure, but it's possible that given 2 different moons, there are 20 different phases of the Nernian lunar cycle. I've looked around, I'm not sure we actually have 20, but that would be my best guess. The secret fire. In real-world alchemy, the secret fire was a changing event within the alchemist which drove the reactions and alterations the alchemist wished to achieve. It represents knowledge itself in a way. The secret fire can also refer to life. I see that often in many different mythologies, that the idea of a secret fire. If you go to Middle-earth itself, it talks about Iru holding the secret fire in the void and being able to create life from that. Was that what happened with Anu and Padme when they ripped themselves outside of the world with Nirn? Did that set off the idea of this secret fire that gave life to the original Etata? The drowned lamp, which is Sithis. The captive sage, the first steps towards Arameth needing to be in the stage.
Wait. What did it call Sithis?
The drowned lamp.
Okay, for a second I thought he called Vivec that, and I was like, wait, was he actually called a lamp? But yeah, I haven't had nearly enough coffee for this thing. And my brain is.
This one's a fun one to wrap around all the time.
Yeah.
The scarab.
I'll have to listen to this myself again.
Yeah.
when you post this, yeah.
Yeah. The scarab also associated with Lorcan, who is identified as a scarab in several texts. You actually see the idea of the scarab posted throughout Morrowind in several different areas, including the Forgotten House, which is implementations of the purpose of Mundus. Scarabs push dung around because they lay their eggs in them, and the new scarabs hatch and fly away. If Lorcan is treating Mundus as his dung ball, did he intend for Mundus to be a vehicle for transcendence and escape? The love letter of the 5th era seems to think so. You can also look at it as the walking ways, especially if you look at the Red Guard idea of the walking ways, a way to escape the coils of Satakal. That could also refer... Satakal. Satakal was the ever-consuming void, the hunger who would eat. He would shed the world skins, and that's where Tall Papa taught the walking ways to get the other age or to escape the continual birth and death recycle. And the anticipations, 3 and 3 in tribunal theology, anticipations imply the tribunal. So there we go. These are all the ideas I have to go on. Also, there's a secret message that these reveal. If you count the number of words in each lesson that were given in each name, the first word of Sermon 1, the 68th word of Sermon 2, etc., you get the following message. He was not born a god. His destiny did not lend him to this crime. He chose this path of his own free will. He stole the godhood and murdered the Hortator. Vivec wrote this. This is the first of 2 confessions hidden in the 36 lessons. So there you go. If you read the numbers and go through all the lessons, that's what you're reading.
So who came up with all this?
Michael Kirkbride.
No. The one who's unsolving this, like the one you've been reading.
Oh, from. James Moore. He's one of our listeners. He actually been posting a lot of stuff. He's been writing his ideas down from the TS lore library and whatnot. So, yeah.
I thought this was like something. I thought this was actually from lore library, not from one of
No. This is actually a culmination of things posted on the Elder Scrolls lore forums. From the Bethesda forums, people have been tearing this stuff apart. So, yeah.
Honestly, like...
I'm actually going to post this as well in chat.
Yeah, this requires actual work of, like... I want to say historian
there's been years of people
theology,
figuring this out.
This is like proper... You could... If you were applying for something like... at a university, like a research something, you could have put these foundings in your resume, and I figured this out from all this.
Yeah.
And if you dare, go ahead and read. This is some advanced, serious work. As I said, I will have to listen this back because you probably have noticed, but I've drifted off. I couldn't keep up. I need at least another few cups of coffee to keep up with this.
I'm actually going to post this other thing in here from the Elder Scrolls TS lore forums where someone actually broke this down even further. The details in it are amazing, but I just don't have the time to go through all of it. But there's some insane theories when it comes to this stuff.
Like, there is dissecting all this information, and then there is writing this in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know what Michael Kirkbride's doing. He's insane. Like, he's literally insane. I would love to meet this gentleman and just like pick his brain because it's kind of nuts. Yeah, absolutely crazy nuts. But that's pretty much it, guys. That is going to be the end of our show. So let's go ahead. Ark, where can people find you, mate?
Right, you can find me anywhere that is ARKHANIIR. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitch. I'm on,
all over the place.
Yeah, that too.
All right.
Mainly.
Do you want to do a shout out for the? We talked about this already, but Arkhaniir does have a guild on the EU side for anyone who's interested in doing that. That's part of his own guild, not really affiliated with us in any way, other than the fact that Ark's part of it.
It's basically not an official dungeon crawler network guild with participation points, giveaway, all those fun stuff that is happening over on the North American side. Does not happen in Silvershield clan in my PC European guild. That is simply a personal community guild. But if you are on European mega server, you are free to join. We are trying to gather up more people so we can start doing events.
There you go.
Yeah.
Definitely, if you're playing on EU, that's going to be the closest you're going to get to the DCN official guild experience. I know we had to kind of... some people are getting confused between the two, so we need to make sure that we mention that Arkhaniir's guild is his own, not part of the DCN Foundry kind of whole section that we have going on. But also awesome still nonetheless. Definitely, if you want to play with Ark and do that, check that out.
Yeah.
But whenever
there are no sexplars there, so
there's no
if you want a
sexplars
sexplar
there.
free zone.
Well, then why would anyone want to join? That just sounds awful to me. Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, if they want a gameplay experience without lies,
Well, I mean, if they wanted a gameplay experience without lies, they probably shouldn't play Elder Scrolls because we already know Vivec's a liar. So
I suppose
you're playing the wrong game there. Anyway, all right. Awesome. Well, you can follow me at Aggelos, AGGELOS, AGGELOS _DCN on Twitter. You can follow me in-game at Aggelos on North American PC Mega Server at Aggelos, AGGELOS. Of course, if you are interested in joining the Hands of Fate, the Elder Scrolls Online chapter of the Dungeon Crawler Network, a gaming community forged by the listeners of our gaming podcast. We've created an amazing gaming community and family, so you should definitely come be a part of it. We cover a wide range of gaming preferences from PC to console. We've developed a community that ranges from the super casual to the cutting edge of hardcore players, and we strive to create an environment where we can support all play styles while we enjoy each other's company. Our guild is a little bit of a PvX guild on the North American PC Mega Server. We have players from all over the world at this point who join us. We have scheduled events almost every night in all the areas of the game, from pledge groups, trials, sky shard hunting, and PvP. We also do monthly Crown Store giveaways for those who participate as part of the guild, so you can earn participation points and buy chances into getting Crown Store giveaway stuff each and every month. So if you're interested, go ahead and send me a message in-game at Aggelos, AGGELOS. Thank you so much. You can, of course, follow everything we do, DungeonCrawlerNetwork.com. There you can find links to all of our social media, including Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/DungeonCrawlerNetwork if you want to help support the show. You can also consider leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes so people know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words, and sometimes it matters. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Tales of Tamriel, and we will see you next time. See you later, everybody.
When Akatosh slew Lorcan, he ripped his heart right out. He hurled it across Tamriel, and the heart was heard to shout, red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. The laughing heart sprayed blood afar, a gout on Seer it fell, and like a dart shot to its mark down in an alien well. Magicka fused the Lorcan blood to crystal red and strong. Then wild elves cut and polished it down to Chimel at a ball. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. When elves lost Nirn to men, Akatosh gave the stone to Saint Alesh in token of her right to sit the throne. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. Red diamond, protect us till the end.